to sort of cheat mug making for FE GBA by starting out with a sketch or a drawing rather than just doing the usual blocking out style or just making outlines how you would normally do it. This is really not a cheat I'd super recommend because it involves a lot of cleaning up and just it's a lot of labor outside of just an easy start, really. So I don't recommend this for things that have a huge amount of detail. It's pretty good for simple mugs, especially if it's just easier for you to draw things. But this is something I've figured out from a couple of other tutorials that I've seen, and it does help me on occasion just sort of start out a mug without going into a whole lot of, messing around with sizes and whatever. So I thought this would be a good opportunity because I'm starting a new mug right now, but maybe I don't really want to trace all the hair detail that's on it, as you see here. She's got a lot of hair going on, and it's not all the same color, which is something you can obviously fix later on. And it's probably just easier to start with just a single color and recolor it later and mess with the shading. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to use this character as my sort of ref. So as I've said, you can start out with a drawing, and what you want to do with that drawing is you want to take the lines and recolor the lines to border color, which I've got here, and as you saw that. And so what you're going to do is you're going to recolor the entire thing, and you want to make sure that your colors are all flat. They're either flat colors, or if you do intend to shade it, that the colors are like cell shaded. So then what I'm going to do is I'll take it and it will sort of become like this, basically, where everything is sort of outlined the color it needs to be. It's flat cell shading, and well, you can also see here what I've done is I've also gone in and recolored the inside of these lines to a different color, just so I wouldn't have to deal with that border color later. And this is also significantly smaller than this, this is only at 50% right now, but this is 100% for this image. This is about, I think, let me check my canvas size. It's about 350 wide. So you also want to size it down this way because when you resize it down smaller later for your hack box size, which is 96 by 80 pixels, you want it to be, you don't want all that quality loss as you're resizing it. So I've got this like this, and I'm going to save and export because I'm using Sci. I'm going to export this as a PNG, and as you see, I've already got this saved here as Robin color. I'll pass out of that one. And so what we're going to do now is let's make a palette, because obviously we need a palette in order to make an indexed color. So we'll switch over to paint.net. And as you can see here, I've already got a palette. Let's start off with my usual palette, which is this thing. As a quick explanation, Fire Emblem palettes, or Fire Emblem GBA, uses a 16 color palette, meaning that you have 15 colors plus a background color that you don't want to include into your sprite, because anything that shows up as that 16th color is going to be considered background and will be used for transparency. So what I usually do is I've got this 15 color setup right here, which is 5 skin tones, a border color, 3 colors for, say, cloth, 3 colors for perhaps armor, and 3 colors for hair. And so I've just kind of taken that and I've made a version for Robin. And as we saw earlier, she has this sort of black hair and green, and her coat is brown with this silver stuff. And so what we have is we have the 5 skin tones here. This will be sort of the coat color here, these 2 colors, and then this will be the silver stuff over here. Then we have 2 for the green, and then 2 for the black, and then this is just the base black. Right now I only have 13 colors because I like working with fewer colors. I like a very limited palette. And because I have this few colors, I can always expand my palette later rather than having to crunch my palette down when I'm done. So we're going to take this palette, and what we're going to do is we're going to save it. I've already saved mine here as palette. And then we're going to go over to Photoshop. So let's close out of these. Let's go over to Photoshop. And so we've got it open in Photoshop. We're going to open this up in Photoshop. And what we want to do is we want to go to your image, mode, and indexed color. You want to make sure it's indexed color. And we're going down to the color table here. The color table will let you save this palette as a custom palette. So we're going to hit save. And we're going to call it Robin palette. Or just call it Robin palette. And we're going to hit OK. Then afterward, we're going to open up our colored sketch, which was this. And then we're going to go over to image, mode. See how it's RGB color right now? We want to move this to indexed color, and that's going to bring up this dialog box. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a custom palette rather than the local selective palette. We're going to go to custom, and so this is the palette that it currently is, obviously not what we want, and it's not 16 colors. So we're going to go to load our previous palette, Robin palette, load that, and it'll bring up the palette we had previously, and hit OK. And as you can see here, it looks, well, that's already pretty good, as you can see. We do have a little bit of shading going on here where it's trying to make up for all the stuff that it was doing earlier. Usually what happens is it'll have it on diffusion or pattern or whatever, dither stuff. You don't want dither. If it has it down here, always make sure your dither is at none. So it's just straight up flat shading like this. Afterward, we're going to hit OK, and we're going to save this as, let's just say, Robin 13 colors. I'm going to save it as that, save it as a PNG, obviously, and then we're going to close out of here and go back to our paint.net. In paint.net, we're going to go over and we're going to open up our 13 or our 15 color Robin. And as you can see, if I were to take, let's close this out. If I were to take this palette, copy it over, and paste it in here, if I were to select all these colors, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you can tell that there are no stray colors anywhere here, which means we do have our index palette the way we want it. But obviously this is too big for our, let me get rid of that. Obviously this is too big to fit in our hack box, which is only 96 by 80. I have a pre-made hack box right here, but in case you ever want to learn how to make a hack box, okay, so we start with a new canvas, we'll make 96 by 80, and then we're going to come over here, chop off a 16 by 48 section, color that in black, copy that, paste it over to the side, there's your hack box. That is a full hack box right there. And anything that shows up in here will be in your mug. So yeah. We're going to take this and then we're going to figure out how we want it to fit in here. The easiest way to do that, personally, in order to sort of size it to regular GBA sizes, is to go and find a reference. And, well, usually what I like to use for my references, for at least female characters, are either Carla, Fiora, Lucius, or Isadora, because they're all pretty average sized. If you're doing dudes, you can do like Ella Wood or Carol or something. They're pretty average size as well, but it's really just what you need. In my case, I think Lucius is pretty good, so I'm going to take him and I'm going to throw him in my hack box as size reference. So he's going to sit in the middle right here. Get rid of this background. Put that background in there. Stick him over here, stick him in here, like that, throw him back here. And let's get rid of this for now, I don't need that. I'm going to take my palette also, and I'm going to paste it in here for easy reference. I do need to clean up, get rid of that. Then I'm just going to sort of make a new layer, and I'm going to change these layer properties and lower the opacity a little bit so I can see through them. I'm going to take this copy and paste it into here. Keep canvas size, obviously. And okay, so up here in quality, you can't see it, but I can have smooth or pixelated quality when I'm resizing. I want a pixelated quality because otherwise if we do smooth, we're going to get aliasing, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to resize this down to a size that fits in our hack box and is approximately in proportion with Lucius. size down a little bit more. Seems almost okay. The forehead may be a little bit big, but okay. And so you can see kind of when I overlay Robin and Lucius, they're about the same size. She just has a lot more hair, obviously. And if I line up these chins, this chin sort of lines up, and you can sort of see up here where the hair kind of lines up at the top of the head. Because she has kind of a lot of hair, and I don't really want to chop it off prematurely, I'm just going to stick her all the way up in the corner like this. Hide Lucius for now. Hide. And then make this full opacity. And, well, as it is, it's pretty okay to work with right now, but if you want a slightly better zoom, I guess, we can also do that by copying this. Let's make it 300 by 300. Paste this in here. And then we're going to just take this one, and then we're going to resize this down to a decent size. So when we're doing resizing like this, you want to make sure your resampling is not at best quality, but it's probably at either bicubic, bilinear, or nearest neighbor. Probably nearest neighbor is the best for resizing because it keeps things aliased, which is what we need. Last time I did this, I think it was about 103 I could make for the width, and it would resize properly. Let's see if that works. So, let's see. So for this one, do lower that. And yeah, that is almost the exact same size, almost. I think we could do a little bit more. So let's do one more. Image resize. Let's do 101. Oh wait, is 101 too small? We'll see. We'll see. We shall see. Here we go. Let's make this opacity, full opacity. And well, this is still a little bit bigger. 101 is still a little bit too big, so let's try, let's try 100. Well, that seems to be about okay. But anyway, whichever size looks better to you, just use that, I guess. And, well, when that's done, you can pick one. Pick one to use, slap it in your hack box, and then we'll just get rid of the background. Like this. We'll get rid of this and this little bit right here. I'm going to duplicate this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shove this underneath the hack box parts and kind of fit it to where we wanted. So Lucius was about the height that I wanted her to be at, maybe a little bit more so I can allow for more hair. So Lucius's head is about, the top of his head is about there. So let's bump that up a couple of pixels. And because she has so much hair that's obviously not fitting in this hack box, some of it's got to go. So I think I can get away with maybe that and still have her hair fit in okay. And that would be a pretty good height to keep her at. So we'll just get rid of Lucius now. And obviously she's still all the colors. So let's bump this back up. I'm going to select whatever in here and delete that. And if I smash this layer down, I can do this and check all my colors. So she's still all the 13 colors that I need, and so that's perfect. And from here on out, basically all you do is you just clean up, because you've already got a little bit of this initial shading here. All you have to do is clean up and sort of finalize it. There are a lot of stray colors, which is going to be a bit of a pain to clean up, but if you have really clean, thick, dark line art, that shouldn't be as much of an issue. And also you don't want to use colors that are maybe too similar, because Photoshop is really good at finding ways to sort of dither out lines. And so that's my only beef with this. So if you don't want to do this and you just want the line art perhaps, because maybe you're a line art person, there's another way for that one too, which I'll show you in a second. Let me just switch over to Sai. Okay, so as you've seen earlier, I have this, and I also have base sketch, because this one also has a base sketch. So what I've done here is I've just recolored this base sketch to border color. I'm obviously just going to take this, export it, save as Robin sketch, but what I'm doing when I do that is that I want it saved so it's transparent. So this is actually transparent. I'm going to save it as this. Yes, I'm going to overwrite this, and you're going to see you want each pixel have opacity. Not this, which is going to give you a solid background. You want opacity. You want this transparency stuff. We're going to take this, go back over to Photoshop. Okay, here's Photoshop, and I'm going to open up my sketch in here. You can tell it's transparent because I've got this little checkerboard background. What we're going to do is we're also going to come back and we're going to go over to our modes and go to index color, which will once again bring this up. We don't want the previous palette. What we want is an exact palette. And what we're going to do here is, even though it's got 43 colors, which I don't want, I'm going to force black and white and do transparency. And let's see. I don't know why it has 44 colors, but we'll see why. But basically, as you can tell from here, we already have an aliased line art here. Matte, none, yeah. We're just going to save that, and there's our totally transparent line art. We're just going to copy this, move over to paint.net. You can tell if we go like this. And then this is all, ooh, that would explain it. Okay, so if you have this problem, select your background, invert the selection, and just color it one color. So I'm just going to take the background color, the border color from this, and just color it in. And now it's all one color, as you can see here. It's all one color now. That would explain why I had 43 colors. Don't know why, just did that. So yeah, now you do the same thing and you just resize it. Since this one is, I think, 100, it says 100 wide by 97, let's also resize this down. So we're going to resize this to, make sure it's nearest neighbor, 100. And, well, that got rid of a lot of detail, unfortunately, but it should fit this one right here. Should fit neatly over this line art. No, it doesn't. Okay. Wonder what happened. Okay, so fine. We can resize that a little bit better, I guess. So the other one was 100. We can do 90. Let's do 96. Let's try 96, see if that works better. Yep, that works. It looks sad. Yep, that's close enough. Close enough. And, well, it's kind of jittery, as you can tell, but nothing you can't fix by hand, and you already have pre-made line art. So you just fix all that up, and you can color it in and do your sprite however. So yeah, 2 ways to cheat your line art, or cheat the mug making process, using slightly more advanced tools, providing you don't already sprite in Photoshop. So, there you go.